Good evening, everyone. Uh, my name is Reuben, and we are live on Ubuntu. Remember, every Friday, 21 hours, we come for Ubuntu Sports, where we discuss and talk about all sports discipline here in Zambia. Now, I'm not alone tonight, as usual. I'm with my analyst, Lameck. Lameck, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Ruben. Thank you for the welcome. We look forward to another amazing show today.
Exactly. How's been your week?
Malik has been very good. We are now waiting for the final tomorrow as we wrap up the season.
As we wrap up the season, surely. I didn't want to start with the ABSA Cup final. I want us to start on a good note. Now, our women's national team has just won 1-0 against Botswana. It was an international friendly in preparation of the Morocco Africa Cup of Nations for the women. Uh, what do you have to say about that?
I think the friendly today was also an eye opener for the other players that don't really get much game time when the star players are in. We saw a good number of players that came in into the team. They have been part of the team for a long time, and they have been contributing to the team. So we are happy that they are able to come in
Hi, Lamek, are you there? Okay, so it seems Lamek has got a problem. So, our national team, our women's national team, had a friendly today. Um they were playing at Woodland Stadium against Botswana, and Zambia won 1-0. We were victorious, and I was happy today because we've won without Barbara Banda, our goal scorer and our captain. So that means at least the team can survive or can play and can win matches without a Barbara Banda. I remember in the qualifiers we had challenges here and there playing without our captain Barbara Banda, but today I think we've done it. So we're live. We'll be talking about the ABSA Cup final tonight. So I invite you to share this broadcast to everyone that is watching us. Share it. Invite everyone so that might follow all the proceedings for tonight. So we'll be talking about the ABSA Cup final tomorrow, which will be played at Nkoloma Stadium. It's going to be NAPSA versus the Zambian Super League champions in Red Arrows. Now, remember, Red Arrows have got legends like Chamanga. So Chamanga is going is with Red Arrows, and I'm sure tomorrow is going to play. And remember, the winner is going away with a 4 million kwacha. So it's a game which you can't miss. Uh, welcome back, Lamek.
Thank you so much, Jerome. Sorry
Yeah.
for
So
the
oh,
little hiccup.
yeah, sure. So I was talking about the women's national
Yes,
team. I was saying we've won today without Barbara Banda, our captain.
yeah. As I was saying that the results today should be a reflection to the nation that we have other players that can step in case our stars are not around. So we have
Yeah.
had the over reliance on players like Barbara Banda and other key players in other positions. But today's friendly was to show that and to give opportunity to other players that don't see a lot of game time when these players are around. So today, I'm happy that a player such as Ochumba Oseke managed to score the only goal of the game and we managed to win. And it was good to see other players come into the fore and put up a very solid performance for the Copper Queens today. Big ups to the coach. I only hope that as we go forward, we may have more players on board, more players available for selection. That means that even when our key players are out of form in some games, we have other players to rely on.
Yeah, that's great. Now, Lamek, we don't
Yes,
seem to care much on the women's football like the way we do with the men's football. These women's are doing very fine. They've qualified to the AFCON, but we're not talking about them.
yeah. You see, when we go to women's football, it has been something that has been overshadowed by the men's game. For the longest of periods, women have always been overshadowed by the men. And then when you look at the division of resources, resources have also been channeled more to the men's side. But looking at the new FAS administration that is in the office now, we've seen a lot of inclusion in the women's game. We are seeing a lot of women's teams from under 17s, the senior team participating in tournaments, something we never used to see in the years back. So this is a positive sign. We only hope that the trajectory that the administration has taken, they continue on the same and continue including women in our football. We already have our local stars in the women's game who are playing abroad. We need to see more women going to play abroad, opening other opportunities for other players to come in and have a stronger national team, so that when we start to feature more in the Africa Cups and the World Cup, many opportunities will come for our women.
Exactly. Now, women's under 17, they're in Cameroon. Remember, last week they were in Coloma, they lost 2-0. Not last week, but on Good Friday, they lost 2-0 to Cameroon. Can they overturn the results and qualify?
It's always a difficult result playing in West Africa. They go to play Cameroon side, a very physical side to say. And then when you look at our players, we have very small-bodied players. They have the talent, they have the skill, but that physical attribute is also to me it's a negative on our part, because when you look at the opponents that we're facing, the opponents managed to bully our young Shipolo team and managed to walk away with a 2-0 win, something we don't see in Zambia. Opponents don't come to Zambia and pick up results. But It was unfortunate that the team lost. They go away. And I love the belief by the coach, Kaluwa Kangwa, who says it's possible to overturn the results. He's the one who's with the players. So as long as we continue sending out a message to those young players to say, you can do it, you are the best, it's possible, we can beat Cameroon. They managed to beat us here, we can also go there and beat them. They may be relaxed that they might have done a job here. We may go there and manage to pick up a result. It's a possible thing to do.
It is a possible thing. Now, before we touch on the ABSA Cup, let's have a review of last week's games. Let's start with the Kopala Derby.
Yeah, when you look at the Kopala Derby, it was a really tough game. I feel Power won over Nkana. It was a big win for Power Dynamos. Prior to this game, Nkana had beaten Power Dynamos in the last 2 consecutive games. And coming into this game, Power were under pressure to pick up a result. Firstly, they were playing at home, and it was for them to beat their rivals again. And then managing to pick up that all-important 1-0 win. It was a huge result in Kitwe, and then they have the bragging rights of the town. It's unfortunate that you see, fans going to the field of play. I think we need to grow our football to a level where fans can celebrate in their stands and not go into the field of play, because it disrupts the movement and the match formalities once the matches are done.
Yeah, of course, it was an intense game. Now, there are some rumors that actually the derby just didn't end at 90 minutes, but it continued in the channel. That we hear that Basil had to go into the Power Dynamos dressing room. What transpired there?
Yeah, so far we haven't seen official reports or any communiques coming in or complaints coming in about the behaviors. It is just centered around an activity that may have happened, where it is alleged that Alex Ngonga came from his dressing room, the Nkana dressing room, and went to the Power Dynamos dressing room to go and actually physically attack a player in terms of slapping the other boy. And it's unfortunate that we have such issues at this level of our football. It leaves much to be desired. And also, when we look at the professional aspect of the game, we need to continue teaching these players to act more professional. Accept results when they happen. Whatever happens on the field of play stays on the field of play. And once we step out of the field of play, we continue being friends. That is the message we need to continue. Otherwise, it was such a bad headline for our football.
course. Now, I was happy last weekend because over a sudden the Nyanta boys, the Green Buffaloes, at least they win over Buttecon 2-1. Your take
Yeah,
on that result?
a very, very big win for Green Buffaloes. And looking at the new coach who's come in, Coach Australia,
Yeah.
he was under pressure to pick up a positive result. Coming to the game against Buttecon is a tough team to beat. They are playing with a lean squad this season, but the fact that they've shown that they can do it, and they are playing really well. They are picking up the results. They managed just last weekend, just a few days ago, they managed to beat Zanaco 2-0. But Buffaloes went to away to Buttecon and managed to pick up a 2-1 win. That was a positive for Green Buffaloes. On their part, it was a huge positive. Looking at the form, how they have dipped in form. Just the other week, we were talking about them as being the underachievers of the season, the most disappointing team of the season.
Mhm.
The win gives them confidence. If they can finish the league with a win again, it should give them confidence as they build up to the coming season. Otherwise, for me, the only and for me it was a really good performance by Green Buffaloes. But the other part is that we had two players being injured and being sent straight to the hospital. With Green Buffaloes key forward Martin Job was stretched out after he collided with the Buttecon goalkeeper. He was also given a red card after that collision. He scored a brace and made sure his team won. That was a good result for Buffaloes.
And I can see you are in the Forest Rangers jersey. Unfortunately, they didn't win. They had to share the spoils with Concola Blades.
Yeah, Congola Blades is a tough team. They're not an easy team to beat. It's
But
unfortunate that
they've been
they've been
relegated.
relegated. Yeah, that's what I'm going. It's unfortunate that they've been relegated. But if you look at this Congola Blades team under coach Charles Boale, they're really tough team to beat. Look at their games that they played at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium where they played against Zesco. Zesco won the game in the dying minutes of the game. Forest Rangers, when they managed to beat Concola Blades in Chidilabomwe, but came to Levi Mwanawasa, they failed to pick up a result. And it was evident that Blades are still fighting. In as much as they've been relegated, they still have that in them to fight. And they need to fight till the end. And they have a positive mentality that they will bounce back. And we'll wait for them to bounce back. For me, I think it's a good team with good sponsorship now. They just need to put in more into the players that they have, bring in more players, more quality players, retouch on the technical bench, on the Exco here and there, and then they'll be good to go. They have the capacity to be a top ZSL team, not a top but a mid-table ZSL team. Should they just put in the correct structures around the team to ensure that the team becomes sustainable and the team also competes favorably in the ZSL.
All right. So let's talk about the team Zico, the Zesco United. Now, Zesco has qualified for Continental. They'll be playing Confederations Cup. Unfortunately, they drew against Nkwazi last week, which is disappointing for me because I thought these guys now need to start preparing for the Continental matches. What do you think, Lameck?
Yeah, it's a disappointing season for Zesco United. They were knocked out in the first round of the ABSA Cup. They bowed out of the ABSA Cup. They came to the league. They started the league really bad. They managed to pick up form towards the end of the league. And if you look at them at the end of the league, they've been really good. Had they started with this performance that they've had at the end of the season, it could have been a different story today. And the other positive about Zesco United is that in as much as Zesco United had its own troubles along the season, they managed to keep the pace with Red Arrows. Red Arrows who had played over 15 games without a loss. You understand? Zesco United were losing in those 15 games and picked up a number of losses, but they still managed to keep a safe point tally with Red Arrows. Red Arrows have been good this season, but Zesco United, we can give them that. Nobody expected them to come out as runners up in the ZSL. I for one thought that Green Eagles would actually give a good title chase because they were playing really well. They are picking up points. They are picking up points away from home and at home. They beat Power Dynamos at home, and coming into the final stretch, they just lost it there and then, and allowed Zesco United to pick up the form and continue chasing. And the game against Nkwazi, Zesco against Nkwazi is not an easy game. It's always a tough game. We saw where Nkwazi went to Levi Mwanawasa and managed to beat Zesco United by a goal to nil. This season it was a different story. Zesco beat Nkwazi, came to Lusaka, a really tough game considering the troubles that Zesco United have. For me, it was a fair result for both teams. I can't get you, Reuben. Turn on your mic.
Okay, I was saying let's talk about the Cowboy Warriors. They went to Nkosa Stadium to play against Kafue Celtics, and Kafue Celtics lost 1-0 to Cowboy Warriors, and were confirmed relegated.
Yeah, the penalty by Ocean Mushure relegated Kafue Celtics from the ZSL.
Yeah.
For me, I think Kafue Celtics have done a really good job in the ZSL. They've campaigned really well with the team that they had. They don't have high-profile players. Throughout the season, they believed in the boys that they had. It's unfortunate they've been relegated, but for me, there are a lot of positives they can pick from this campaign in the ZSL, and I hope they can keep a good number of their players and come back stronger next season so that they bounce back on the first attempt into the ZSL. They've shown that they belong in the ZSL. They need to fight to get back into the ZSL and fight for a ZSL slot so that they maintain a status in the ZSL. They've been brilliant. No team has played like Kafue Celtic has played with the ball. Red Arrows have played really well, but if you watch Red Arrows versus Kafue Celtics at Edwin Imbwela Stadium, Red Arrows were second best. Kafue Celtics managed to dominate the game. In as much as Celtic lost, they managed to dominate the game. That is a huge positive for them. They need to just patch up one or two areas in the team. They'll be good to go.
All right. Okay, let's finalize now for the Zambian Premier League with the final game, Red Arrows versus Chambishi, and it was too easy for Red Arrows. They won 4-1.
Yeah, when you look at when it wasn't a simple game. Chambishi is no pushover. Chambishi is not a pushover. They're a team that fights. But look, when you're playing against a champion, you have that pressure. Same as teams such as in Ghana. The fact that you're playing against in Ghana, the name itself intimidates you at first. That is the same with Red Arrows. Red Arrows were at the tip of being crowned champions. Everyone had that in mind that we are playing against the champions elect. Chambishi developed cold feet along the way. Tactical brilliance from Mbewe. They managed to put in the correct tactics. Ricky Banda, who has now 15 goals, a youngster who has come in from nowhere and stepped into the ZSL, managed to overtake players, seasoned players such as Moses Piri. He scored the first goal. Saddam Yusuf Piri scored also. It is a combined effort from Red Arrows, and this title has required everyone to put in the effort. When the strikers have failed to score, the midfielders have scored. When the midfielders found it hard to move around, the defenders have taken up that task. This is what defines the Red Arrows team. This is also what defines a champion. A champion will work with everyone who's around you. You work as a team. This is what Red Arrows has shown us this season. We've seen a game that they played without 6 of their key players, of their first team players, were not in the team, but they managed to pick up a positive result. It's a very positive game that I picked a lot from it. Chambishi should have had been celebrating at the end of that match. Because if you look at the Chambishi team, that game, in as much as they lost, the teams that were behind them, the teams that were below them, lost their games and they were relegated. Chambishi have been confirmed, they've survived. They need to now start picking up the pieces, see how they can fine-tune the team so that they put up a stronger performance come next season in the ZSL.
Yeah. Should you look forward to the the next week fixtures, because everything is confirmed. We know the top two, and we know the teams that have been relegated.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the final games of the ZSL. There's some interesting games lined up in the ZSL. We have Red Arrows who travel away to Indeni. In Dola, they'll be crowned away in Dola. Unfortunately, the trophy will be taken away from the fans in Charleston that have supported the team from day one. We have other interesting fixtures in the ZSL, and this also marks a good season that we've had. Yes, we've had one or two issues around the season, but the fact is that we've had a good season. We just need to watch the final games play, and then it will be a close for everyone.
Wonderful. So we say congratulations to Red Arrows. They are the ZSL Zambian Super League champions for 2021.
They deserve the credit.
Season. Yeah, so we say congratulations. And from that team, there are people like Chamanga, 42 years of age, but still playing and still strong, still banging goals for Red Arrows.
Yeah, he's an inspiration. Chamanga is an inspiration. I've had the privilege to spend time around him and near where he was, and have had the privilege to spend time with the people and the players that spent time in training with him and time in the matches with him. Chamanga is a leader. On the field of play, he is a leader. So we have a coach on the technical bench and we have another coach on the field of play. Sometimes the coach may find it difficult to communicate with the boys in the team. He just talks to Chamanga and Chamanga will guide those boys. Look at Ricky Banda. Ricky Banda, little by little, I've managed to see Ricky Banda start from his time at Red Arrows. When he came to Red Arrows, he is not the player he is today. He's developed tremendously, and he himself knows. And when you look at his celebrations that he's been having, he always points to where James Chamanga is, because he acknowledges the effort and how much work James has put in him, how much mental strength that James has impacted in him. So this is a leader, and a recent interview with him he said that he's not ready to quit. He can go another season so that he continue mentoring those boys. These are players that we need to see around the technical benches. These are people that have achieved a lot and are willing to continue giving back to the communities where they come from and giving back to the nation as well.
Yeah, surely. So let's talk about the Eden University Division 1. Again, the fight for the last slot of the top 4 has not yet finished, and still Nchanga Rangers are battling out with Mfulira Wanderers. So I was disappointed with Mfulira Wanderers. They drew last week in a must-win encounter.
Look, this just shows that I'm happy with the results that came. I'm really, really happy with the results that came. You know, as we build up to the final 2 games, the games that were being played in Lusaka, when Nchanga Rangers played against the Young Buffaloes, and then the City of Lusaka will come to Mufulira Wanderers. Both teams played at the same venue. Nchanga played earlier than Mufulira Wanderers, but you know there were assertions that around social media. There were people in the street saying, one of the 2 teams or both teams may actually buy matches, fix matches so that they win promotion. But now the fact that Nchanga Rangers managed to pick up a result at home. They managed to beat Muza, who have already qualified for the ZSL, who have already won promotion to the ZSL. Welcome them to Nchanga Stadium, managed to beat them 1-0. A brilliant free kick by Angel Lubamba, who just came in the middle of the season. He was brought in January from City of Lusaka. He managed to score an all-important goal that gave them a victory. And we went to Mofuliro, played on Sunday. They failed to pick up a positive result. That just shows that there's a lot of integrity when we look at our football. Teams are playing for the heart, not for the money. Because if it was for the money, we could have been hearing maybe 1 or 2 issues about match fixing and all of that. But that result for me shows that it's very difficult to fix a match, because such issues should be nowhere near around our football. If we are to develop, we don't need to hear such issues. And that game for me proved that it's we don't have much fixing in Zambia.
Okay, so Lameck, let's help our viewers. So we're here. We can confirm that Musa has qualified to the Zambian Premier League. So if you are a resident of Mazabuka or you are in Mazabuka, please just know that you'll be watching the Zambian Super League at Nakambala Stadium. The other team that has confirmed qualification is Lumwana. So uh, teams from Northwestern now, they seem to be doing fine. Now we have Kansanshi Dynamos, Lumwana Radiants also.
Yeah, we have two teams now in Northwestern Province. We have Kansanshi Dynamos. We also have Lumana Radiants. You know, uh, as the season was unfolding, Lumana Radiants started losing games. But when they were relegated, I was with a team when they played their game that relegated them to the Eden University team. I was with the media guys at the team. It was a painful scene to see a team that was well supported being relegated, but they kept the belief. They kept a good number of their players. Yes, they let a good number of the players that they had that really never brought a lot of value to the team. They let them go. They kept a good number of the players, Zambian players. And when you look at this team, they have a few foreigners and a lot of Zambian players. They've kept that belief in our local players, and they've managed to reach where they are today. We just hope that their final game, they can win their final game and be crowned champions of the Eden University National Division 1. For Musa, it is a positive, a huge positive. Yes, we have issues to do with Nakambala Stadium. They may be using Nakambala Stadium as their venue, but it is not yet confirmed that the team may also look for another alternative venue. Maybe they may want to shorten the distances, because when you look at a team that is coming from a region like this one, with a lot of their games being played around the Copper Belt and Lusaka, it may be difficult for a team that is sponsored by maybe an individual, two individuals, that is not owned by a company like the other majority of the ZSL teams. So in a bid to maybe reduce the distances that the team may cover and cut down on expenses, we may also see the team maybe shifting to a venue maybe in Lusaka or something like that. It's a possibility as well.
Yeah, Lameck, but I think if you change your home ground, I think it affects the results of the team. Look at Kafue Celtics. They played their National Division 1 at they started first playing. They were playing in Kafue at Nkosa Stadium, then shifted. They came to OIDC, made it their home. When they qualified to the Premier League, they changed their home stadium, their home ground to Edwin Imbwela, and they were not getting the results that they wanted.
Yeah, for Kafue Celtics, for Celtics, for me, it wasn't based around the fact that they changed venues. That's why the results were not coming. For Celtics, the reason they were relegated is the fact that they did not want to invest a bit in the team to see it survive. You see, look at the teams that have survived relegation. Look at Chambishi. Look at Kansanshi Dynamos that have survived relegation. That came from the National League to the Premier League. Chambishi in January managed to sign about 9 players. Among these players were players, 6 of those players have experience in the ZSL. Players such as Stephen Kavamba, Chipiri Mungule, these are players that were signed by Chambishi. And the result you can see, everyone can see the results that these players have brought. Look at Kansanshi Dynamo. Kansanshi Dynamos were on a very poor position in the first round. Second round came, 1st January came, they managed to make some good signings. They brought in Baba Basile, Jesse Were, Marvin Jerry. These are some of the players that came in. John Tambwe. These are players that came in January. Look at the results that they've reaped today. Look at Konkola Blades. They brought in some players, but it was never enough. Look at Kafue Celtics. They did not bring in any players in January. Look at the results. So it's there to show that when you don't invest in a positive, to see positive change, it's difficult for you to see that change.
Yeah, sure. So the other team that has qualified to the Zambian Super League is NAPSA Stars, and they're playing the final tomorrow.
So for NAPSA Stars winning promotion into the ZSA is something that was expected. But NAPSA Stars has been limping throughout the season.
Okay,
when the
but
season
Lameck,
started.
did you expect them to come out third? I thought maybe they would actually be crowned as the champion of the Eden University. Did you expect them to come out third?
For me, I even thought that NAPSA would fall short on the top four. I thought they would fall short on the top four because this is a team that, look, when you look at the strike force that NAPSA Stars have, you see, when you look at the team that NAPSA have, they have a stronger defense and a weaker strike force.
Okay,
Look at the victories
don't go
they
into
were picking
details
in the first
because
round.
we'll be talking about NAPSA when we start talking about the ABSA Cup. I just wanted to notify the viewers that actually they've qualified into the Zambian Super League, and we're expecting maybe you saying Changa Rangers would qualify. Bwezani is saying Mfulira Wanderers will qualify. I don't know if you're going to stick with your prediction.
No, for me, it's Oden Changa Rangers. For me, it's Oden Changa Rangers. I had this discussion with a good number of people that came into my inbox and on Facebook. Some of my followers who wanted to hear from me to say who is going to qualify. Looking at the remaining games, for me, there are things that I do. Sometimes I don't follow what people follow. Sometimes when the majority are going to watch maybe a Red Arrows team that is highly performing, I'll just go and watch a team that people don't even want to watch. That was Nchanga Rangers team when they were somewhere around 7th position. They were playing against a team, Police College in Lusaka. I just took time off and went sat in the stands and then started watching Nchanga Rangers play. I managed to look at the players that they have, and from there I had a discussion with the coach. He was very positive. He believed in his players, and through the discussion that we have, I knew that with this mentality that the coach has, if he is imparting this knowledge into these players that he has, this team will qualify into the ZSL. For me, I knew that some time ago, before they even entered into the top four. They went into the top four. I'm good friends with some Changa Rangers fans, so we basically talk football before games and after games most of the weekend. So as we were looking at the 3 games that both teams had, Changa Rangers have 3 games, Wanderers had 3 games. So Nchanga had the more tougher games. For Wanderers, they had that looked like easier games. You understand? For me, I even today I still stick with Nchanga Rangers because I saw what I saw. I believed in what I saw. They had the team. They had the firepower to do what they have. Angel Lubamba, who's coming and is a revelation to watch. They have Ronald Chiwe, who's coming and he comes in as a substitute. When you least expect, this guy delivers. They have Christian Saile, who has now scored 17 goals. You understand? So this is a team that is well oiled when you go in front. Yes, their midfield is a little bit shaky. They need maybe few reinforcements, but take nothing away from Changa Rangers. They deserve to win promotion. Wanderers, they started very, very badly. They've picked up form. Last season, Changa Rangers Wanderers finished on 5th position. This season may also be similar. They need to invest more into the team and maybe put in 1 or 2 structures in the team for them to finally get it right.
Thanks. I want us to get into the big one now for tomorrow, which is the ABSA Cup final. Now it was moved from was it 14th of April? It was moved to 30th, which is tomorrow. And again, they've changed the venue from Hero Stadium. They've taken it to Nkoloma Stadium. Lameck, that's a home ground for Arrows. Does it mean that Arrows now have got a home advantage? They're playing final at their home ground.
You see, finals have no owner. finals have no honor. Even if you've played in the final 50 times and then you're playing an opponent that is playing the final for the first time, shockers are always there in the final. NABSA can beat Red Arrows at Nkoloma Stadium. It's a possibility. And then when you look at the reasons of these finals of the games being moved, look, both teams, before this game was moved, both teams had crucial games. Red Arrows who had crucial games that if they won, they would have actually won the ZSL back then. NABSA Stars had games that they had to play to win promotion. Playing the final at that time may have negatively impacted both teams. So for me, it was only logical to push these games with both teams agreeing that, okay, our schedule is tight now, we can push the final a little bit better, and maybe one or two special guests that was not available that the sponsors wanted to have around. You understand? Was also a factor to pushing the game to the 30th. When you look at the 30th, we have another show. It's not a football show. It's gospel shows and to do with some singers coming from Nigeria collaborating with Zambians to look at entertainment purposes, and then they booked Hero Stadium. They are doing that show at Hero Stadium. So now you come into a venue that is booked for these people that booked it prior to you booking. So it's almost difficult for you to move them, to tell them today, to say, okay, you guys, today we want to use that game, so postpone your show. It's very difficult to put in that. And now you take the game to Nkoloma Stadium. Other alternatives would have been Woodland Stadium, but Woodland Stadium may not take in much fans compared to Nkoloma Stadium. Nkoloma Stadium is bigger than Woodland Stadium. And then for the sponsors also, you understand? The sponsors also want to be visible. They want to be visible to hundreds of fans. They want to showcase their products in front of hundreds of fans. So that is the option where we now go to Nkoloma Stadium as the venue. NABSA should go to Nkoloma Stadium, play without pressure. They stand a higher chance of winning the final. They are in it. They fought their way to reach this stage. They can also win it.
Now you're talking about the NABSA players. I know they've got good players like Odiambo, Sabukam. These are experienced players that have played in the Zambian Super League. Do you expect them to start tomorrow, or maybe we need fresh legs?
Look, it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game. Players such as David Odiambo bring a lot of experience. These are players you need to have in the team to provide leadership. You understand? For NABSA, they may not have the target of winning the match in the 90 minutes. They may also try to push the match to extra time and penalties. But for the ABSA final, we just go straight into penalties. They may try to push the match into penalties. So when you're playing against a stronger team, you see how much effort you can put in to get a desired result. If you want to go, if NABSA would want to go tomorrow, punch for punch with Red Arrows, I don't think they can stand the firepower that Red Arrows come with. For me, NABSA's chance may be to try and push the match into penalties and hope that they can win the match through post-match penalties. For Red Arrows, they are under pressure. They are the big boys in this game. They are under pressure to win this match. And for them, winning the match should be in the 90 minutes. They need to put in the effort and fight for them to win the match in the 90 minutes. Penalties are a gamble, You can win, you can lose. So for Red Arrows, for me, I'm putting my money on Red Arrows, and then I hope that they can win the match in the 90 minutes. It's a tough game, but, anything is possible. We have to have a winner tomorrow.
I'll keep your prediction. So next week, I'll remind you over that. And so if someone wants to go and watch the game, where can they get the tickets from?
CompuTicket that are selling, they can be gotten at ShopRite stores across the country. You can buy your tickets for the final. And then you'll be able to watch the ABSA Cup final live in the stadium. And one thing is this: watching football at home and watching football in the stadium are two very, very different things. Very
Yeah.
different things. Watching football in the stadium, you can feel the energy from the fans, you can feel the energy from the players. You cannot feel that when you're watching on TV. You can be part of the celebration. It's always, for me, I enjoy watching football in the stadium. And then sometimes, I'm a media personnel at some point. So sometimes I would even go pitch side with my camera so that I can just be closer to the action. I love it being closer to football because I'm really passionate about football.
Indeed. So if you want to watch the game live, you can buy your tickets from Shoprite, any Shoprite outlet. They'll sell you the ticket, and boom, you can be there at Nkoloma Stadium. Lameck, are you going to be there? This is a big one, ABSA Cup. You can't miss this one.
I can't miss the ABSA Cup. I can't miss the final. I've supported this team for the longest periods of time throughout the season. I also had a chance to be part of Red Arrows at some point at the start of the season. So for me, it's a huge, huge game for the team and for everyone around the club because I've seen this club grow into what it is today. I've seen how much effort the coaches have put in, the players have put in at Red Arrows, and I can't miss this. I really can't miss this one.
Okay, so our viewers, please, you can put your predictions in the comments. Which team you think will carry the day? And Lameck, I've got Nachisengu on the line. Nachisengu, please, you can come in and you can ask a question or your comment. Nachisengu, are you there? Okay, if Nachisengu is not ready, you can give us the comments. Let's have the comments from our viewers. Okay, Mr. Kafwimbi saying a great show. I just loved listening to my home soccer. Wow, thank you. Our ladies are doing very well. Congratulations to them. I'm sure Himba is talking about our women's national team. So them, they have qualified to the women's Africa Cup of Nations, and I can confirm to you that these games will be played starting from Saturday, July the 2nd, 2022, to Saturday July 23, 2022, and the current champions for the Africa Cup of Nations is Nigeria. So the other comment is coming from Laura. Laura is saying, "Good evening, Lameck. I don't know if this is the right platform to ask any question, but I'll ask. Why have the Zambian football players stopped playing talent-based football?" That's a question, Lameck.
So you see, in response to what Miss Laura is saying, is football evolves. Football is always evolving. So you cannot expect players to play the way they are playing in 2010 to play today. Different tactics are being employed, and then it also depends with the players that each team has. You understand? So when you go to a team that plays counter-attacking football, you cannot have a player who holds to the ball and then tries to dribble, show his skill and all of that. We have a lot of talent in Zambia. We have a lot of talent. We have young players coming in, and for me, Laura, I still feel we have players who are talented, but it may be based on the tactics of the coaches that are tutoring or managing this club. That's why you may look at a certain club and say, why is this club playing this kind of football? It's because of the coach. Because the same player, when taken to another team, may look talented because they are already talented. It just depends with the coach and the system of the coach at the team that they are playing. But talent, we have massive talent in Zambia.
Okay, so do we have more comments? Any more comments from our viewers? If there are no comments, Lameck, uh, tomorrow is the final. So which players should we look out for?
You know, we'll start. I'll start with NAPSA. For NAPSA, we have to look at the young goalkeeper Rodo Mukwanya. He's a really good, talented player. He came into the team when the team had a crisis with a goalkeeping department. Two of the goalkeepers had picked up injuries, so he came in and was given a chance. And since he played his first game, he hasn't looked back. Looking at the ABSA Cup, he also managed to help his team beat Green Buffaloes. And then coming into the final, he's motivated to make sure that who's also featured for the national team. He's a big player. David Odiambo, he's a big player. Also have Sidney Kalume in that Snapsa Stars team, heavily experienced player who has come into this ABSA Cup final. He's played in the final before, and coming into this game, this is the experience that NAPSA Stars will need. Going forward for NAPSA, I think Jimmy Zobrigo on his day may deliver for his team, but of late he has been out, and I hope he can step up his game and provide for his team. For Red Arrows, we also look at players such as James Tamanga, a heavily experienced player with a lot of impact on the game. We also have Ricky Banda, who is the current top scorer in the Super League. We also have Trezor Shiwawa at the back of the Red Arrows defense. We have Alassane Diarra in that Red Arrows team, and there are many more names in that Red Arrows team. But for me, these are the key pointers of the players. We also have Alan Kapila in the Red Arrows team. He's coming and he was given a chance along the way. In the first few games, he was just part of the team, but not getting much action. The moment he was given game time in the team, he hasn't looked back. He's managed to form a solid partnership with every defense pairing he's been given. So these are players that we need to really look out for. They are really talented
Okay.
players.
All right. So we have got Lance on the call. Lance, good evening, and you can go ahead with your question or comment.
Hi, good evening, Reuben, and good evening, Lameck, and also good evening to viewers that are watching this broadcast from whichever platform that you are using. So, my quick question to you, Lameck, is pertaining to female sports. It is a known fact that since time immemorial, our ladies have never been given that much resources and attention has never much attention has never been paid to them. Reasons are not known, but we haven't seen much or we haven't heard more of our female national soccer team, not only the seniors but also at under 17 level, under 21 level, and under 20s. What could be wrong? Why is it that our ladies are not given them so much support that is given to the male senior team and also probably the under 20 male team? Then coming to tomorrow ABSA game, obviously my money unfortunately is on NAPSA. I would love to go with NAPSA on this particular one and get to be at loggerheads with you, Lameck, and obviously get to see that NAPSA picks this one up and deny Arrows a double header. So this is my contribution this particular evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lance, and all the best with your bet. Lameck.
So answering the question posed by Lance. So when we go to women's football, you understand, we need to break it down. So the Football Association has a partnership deal with companies like MTN and other companies that it has been having. You understand? In those sponsorship deals, those deals mainly focus on the males game. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yes.
So when you look at the MTN deal, the MTN were covering the men's national team. This deal by MTN was not sponsoring the lower teams, even the men's under 17, the men's under 20 were not being covered in this sponsorship team. And then for the women's team, it was also the same scenario where they were not covered in that sponsorship. The only sponsorship that these teams got was those grants being given by the government, the support being given by the government, because the government was puts in some money to aid in administration and the running of football house and then managing the national team, because the Football Association of Zambia also falls down under the NCZ, and I don't want to go explaining in detail of the monies, and I'm just giving someone who may not have a clear picture on how these deals come about. So over time, we've seen more inclusion. Firstly, by Football House, they've started including and put up plans, and also working around including women in active sport. We have talent identification. We have women's league that have been developed by the Football Association of Zambia. We have women's league. We have the women's national league, the first of its kind in Zambia. We also have the provincial leagues for women. You understand? These leagues are coming in to help the association identify players. As we continue having and building a stronger team, it will be very easy for the association to go out and lobby for sponsorship for these teams. You understand? Look, this team went to the Olympics. They put out. For me, it was a good performance at the Olympics. A lot of people noticed the team. We had players such as Barbara Banda breaking records at the team. So we need to have more players such as that. And look at the players such as Barbara Banda. They came from, from these compounds. So, and what has been put in by the association to help identify those young talents. We also have other new players that have come in. Even Susan Katongo, a talented midfielder who has come up. Very soon we'll also see her rise to the levels of Barbara Banda. You see, we have players such as Maweta Chilenga, who's also a talented player. She's also one little girl who's coming up really well. We have Luba Sipumulo who's coming in and really developing really well. So in terms of sponsorship, you understand, this team was invited to State House by the president and the first lady, and they managed to.
After they qualified,
they managed to lobby for inclusion, being included. You understand? The inclusion involved being given allowances of the same amount or similar amounts with the men's national team. That is inclusion. You understand? They also were given a bus. Their individual bus for them. Previously, they were being ferried by the men's national team bus. So this association had one bus that they would use. And we also saw some ugly like footage that the national team was being ferried using some bus. You understand? These were the challenges that the women's game was facing. But the association has come in today and then has helped in simplifying some of these things, that challenges that the women's game
Lameck, what are you saying? Some bus. It was a mini bus. Just say it.
No. I wouldn't want to go into details of what type of bus it was, but it wasn't the official bus of the team. Understand? And it wasn't a bad thing, because looking at the whole scenario, what happened, it was necessary to ensure that transportation was offered. It wasn't a below standard vehicle that was provided. It was of good standard and good value, but the criticism came majority from the people that maybe do not know what goes on around the football circles of Zambia, to say some of these teams may not have their official transportation. So it's difficult to ferry them when you have 3-4 teams in camp. At that period, we had many other teams in camp, so it was difficult for each team to have their own bus, because the association does not have that many buses. So to answer Lance, like my final answer to Lance is that those challenges that we had in the past, today we are seeing more inclusion of women, and going forward we'll see more of women being included. Firstly, in administration of our game, we've seen women being included, and then the fact that women are being included, we'll also see female footballers being included.
Okay, Lameck, can we also take it upon ourselves that to start monitoring the results for the women's league? I
Yeah,
think let's hype the league as well. Just
yeah.
like we talk
You
about
see,
the Super League
here,
for the men's football. Let's do that for the women's football as well.
you see, this is also a decision to do with interests. You understand? As a
Yeah.
person, you cannot even as a company. You understand? As a company, you cannot hire one person to do three jobs. Understand? But the fact is that we have people that are already helping, that are already on the ground helping in women's football. We can reach out to those people for other detailed information. They can give us information about what is happening around in the women's game, and we can also help in hyping the women's game. It is a league that needs hyping so that the corporate world can also see the positives that are happening in the women's football, come in and also impact the girls' life. We need to protect the girls out.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Lameck, away from that, 28th April every year we remember the KK-11, our heroes that perished in that aircraft in Gabon. Uh, and I saw one of the comments from Ora saying we need to emulate the KK-11. What can you say? What can you say about that?
So let me just read the comment again. So Laura said, secondly, yesterday we were remembering our late heroes, the KK11 boys. The minister encouraged the current players to emulate them. As players, are you doing your best to play like they did? So in answering this question, this specific question, I'll say we cannot play exactly like they did in the past. But what we can have is the passion and the zeal to fight like those guys did because they fought for the badge. We can also have the players that can fight for the badge like those other players did. You know, it was a painful, it is always a painful memory to see, parents, brothers dying, uncles dying in such a fateful crash. And then this also reminds us of our football history and what we need to do to achieve for these players. The 2012 final was centered around this team, the KK11. You understand? So
Yeah.
going forward, we can always draw inspiration from this team because there are players that are still we can't forget what they have written in the history of Zambian football. We can always go back to these players and then pick up one or two things from them, pick up some knowledge from the people that were close to them, and then we can build another team that will fight like they fought for the team. Because Zambia was a really strong team as with that team that perished.
Surely, and may their souls continue resting in peace. 28th April will probably be a bad day in Zambian football. We, that's the day we lost the KK-11. And coincidentally, that's a birthday also for KK, for Kenneth Kaunda, the first Republican president of Zambia. You can imagine that, Lamek.
Yeah, it's always it's not good to have bad experiences on special days. You understand? So for me, looking at the crash and the birthday, it is always something that when you look at the former president, may he so rest in peace, on his birthday, then something such as that happened. So for him, it was something that was personal to him because he loved football. That was number one. He loved that team. There is footage where he was seen donning a referee's attire at the center of a match. Before the match starts, he has to kick the ball first. He's someone who loved football, and that happening, it was, sometimes people may not get to share stories of how much they felt or what certain incidences or certain accidents impacted their lives. But had he lived more to share the story about what impact, we would have learned something from his story. And it's unfortunate to have such an experience on your birthday.
All right, thanks. Lamek, you know what? We just received some good news from the people that watch this show. They're saying the people that are commenting, they might win something. and one of the things that they would win is a ticket for the game for the Premier League next week. And then next week Friday, whosoever comments might win a 500 kwacha voucher for ShopRite. Isn't that good, Lameck?
That's a really good package and a motivating factor for our followers and our fans to continue following us. We love our football and we want to include them as we continue supporting our football. So all we can do is encourage them to share these posts to their friends, invite more of their friends and family to follow and like our page also.
All right. Yeah, they need to like our page. That's on Facebook, and also we're on YouTube, Ubuntu channel. Please subscribe, and you can make a comment there. And boom, next week you might be a lucky winner of a 500 kwacha voucher from ShopRite. Lameck, we need to go. Time is not on our side tonight. So, your comment over the ABSA Cup final. I
So
can't wait
over
tomorrow.
I can't wait for tomorrow to come so that we can go and watch the only cup competition in Zambia that we have, a final within a final. You know, it's a really important game for both teams. For Red Arrows, it's an important game. They need to do a double this season. For their opponents, Napsa Stars failed to win the Eden University National League. They have a chance to win a trophy this season. And it's a chance for Perry Mutapa to win a trophy with his Napsa Stars. So it's really an important game. And my last remarks is I urge all fans, I urge everyone watching this, find time, come to the stadium and watch this entertaining football. You know, football is fun watching in the stadiums. You know, I promise you, football is fun watching in the stadium. And I personally invite you to come and watch the ABSA Cup final.
Well, and I've not forgotten your prediction. You said that Arrows is going to win, so they'll have a double this season.
Yeah,
But I'll go
I'm
with
giving
I'll go
I'm
with
giving
Lance.
it to Arrows.
I'll go with Lance. I see a good header from a corner from Odiambo, and Naps will carry the day 1-0. Yeah, I'm going with Naps.
You know, may the best team win.
May the best team win indeed. So this is where we end our Ubuntu Sports for this week. I was with my guest Lameck, talking about the ABSA Cup final, and also we remembered our heroes, our heroes that perished in the aircraft. I ask you, all of you, to continue supporting Ubuntu channel. Invite someone to like or follow our page. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, and please note that starting next week, if you comment on our show, Ubuntu Sports on 21 Hours Friday next week, you might be a lucky winner of a 500 kwacha ShopRite voucher. So please follow us, like our page, and bring the comments, and you might win something. Good night, and God bless you.